For example, now for the matrix, if I wanted to have their information or I wanted to collect data, I will just come, write a letter, and then collect that data. You understand? That's secondary data. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah? Okay, later. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, move to another one. Farm measurement. Farm measurement. We know farm, we know measurement. Sometimes you can say farm, we can also refer it to plot. Plot, for example, plot. Because if we say farm measurement, if we say farm in agricultural settings, ba kawai yana nuhin gona wa gaba ko, even they are also farms. So for here we can say farm measurement as plot measurement. This is the definition. Farm measurement refers to systematic quantification of farm's physical area, land features, resources, and production units using standardized tools. Standardized tools, units, and methods to support planning, management, legal documentation, and valuation. That's farm measurement. Just measure a farm. Now, if you can say farm measurement as plot measurement, we know what plot means. Usually, they define plot as continuous piece of land where one or two more crops is grown. That's plot. Now, common unit of measurement. Common unit of measurement. If you want to measure farms, we can measure in acres, hectares. This is commonly used here, but it's not a standardized one. Ridges. Because I can tell you that I have 100 ridges. But maybe it's not up to 1 acre. Somebody can tell me he has 100 ridges. But it's more than 1, 2, or 3 acres. So that's why we just brought it here, because it's commonly used here. Because you can go to a village and ask a farmer, what is the size of your farm? They can tell you 50 ridges. You cannot quantify that until when you measure. When you measure. Because in the standard form, if you say ridges, people will not know maybe the square meters of the farm. So, but we measure in acres and hectares. Note, 1 acre is, like you see it here, 1 acre is equivalent to 3,400 square feet, which is equivalent to 0.4 hectares. I don't know if I'm right here, because you are more experienced than me in this. What I know is that 4 acres makes 1 hectare. 4 acres makes 1 hectare. And 1 acre is going to 0.4. 0.4 is close to 0.5. And you have 0.5 times 4. It gives you what? 1. So that's why we are saying 4 acres makes 1 hectare. Then 1 square meter is equivalent to this. But commonly here we measure farms, some measure farm in feet.
1 square kilometers, not meters. You said meters, it's kilometers.
Where?
Yeah. 1 square kilometers is equal to 100 hectares. Look at it.
Yes.
Not meters.
Yes. 100 hectares. Yes. Now, tools. Tools for farm measurement. for farm measurement. Before we now measure a farm, we should make sure that the plot is not separated. Because if, for example, now here I planted maize here, and my farm is separated by a river, for example, and also planted maize here, and it all belongs to me. That is not one plot. It is two plots because it is separated. Now, if you are asking somebody or a respondent, for example, you want to collect data, and they say they have one plot. No, they have two plots because it is being separated. So we have GPS device. It's a device. It's a device where you can use to measure farm. It is like a device, maybe your handset, mobile phone. And if you want to measure, it's not that you cannot just go around like that. You have to apply some certain things. You can either measure, you can maintain your right. You can start from the right or from the left. If you can start from the right, that means you should maintain that right. For example, now you have your own device now. Let's assume this is your farm. So you have to put maybe a sign, your starting point. You need to know your starting point, because if you start measuring, you have to come back to your starting point. So if you start measuring, you just click, then start measuring. If you reach anywhere that you turn, you just turn like this. For example, if you are maintaining right, you just turn like this, pause like 2 or 3 seconds, and start moving. You move like that until you reach your starting point. That will actually tell you how many square meters do you have. Because normally these devices that we are using to measure farms calculate in square meters normally. So once you reach your starting point, if you click, you see your square meters. That means you have your farm measurements now.
What's the name of the device?
They call it Garmin device. Garmin. 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 You'll see it at the end of the slide. We also measure, we have measuring tape also. We also use that. This is commonly used. Measuring tape. It is also been measured in meters or feet. When does that check our Kazani, like I mentioned earlier. Note, data can be collected using digital device or in form of paper. Ana collecting data information ko ga takarda ko kuma ga abun nan, ga system computer misali. Muna kiran shi CAPI, computer assisted personal interviewing. There's any digital form of collecting data. Kuma ana answer data in form of paper ko manual a rubuta haka. Next slide, please. Okay, we are done with farm measurement now. We're moving to the next one. Financial discipline. Definition, pillar, Kiro, and tool and method. Financial discipline definition. Financial discipline is a consistent practice of controlling income, expenses, debt, and investment through structured planning, tracking, and adherence to predefined rules to achieve long-term financial goals. Mun san wannan financial discipline ne. Wanda mutum zai kiyaye, ya hada, ya kuma tantance abin da ya samu na kudade. Next slide, please. Financial discipline. Okay, this is continue. Now, pillar. These are the pillars of financial discipline. Budgeting. Sai ka budget. Kana da kayan noma misali. ka samu miliyan 10 to kuma ai za ka shirya ma next season ko kuma za ka wasu abu gidajenka misali in your company or firm. Now you need to budget, track, you saving first, control your debt also because you cannot be collecting loans anyhow and anywhere. Interest ma sai ka diba ha gani ina har da dan karanci misali. Then invest, you can be investing also. Then you review. When the review means that you should be reviewing your activities maybe monthly, quarterly, or annually. Key rule. These are the key rules for financial discipline now. Spend less than earned income. You understand by this? We are spending less than earned income. What do you understand by this? This number one. Please, is there anybody that can tell us what do you understand by this? Spend less than income. Yes.
Spending earning income. You are working out of the budget, and if it's a project, you are already lost.
Okay. Sir?
Spend.
This.
Yeah. Normally, in an ideal situation,
Yes.
you are supposed to spend less than your income. If you have 100,000 as your income, you are not expected to spend more than that 100,000.
Yes.
You're supposed to spend maybe 80 or 70.
Yes. Yes.
So that's
Thank you so much. So this is mathematical reference because.
Let me add something there.
Okay, sir.
I want it to be more practical.
Okay.
All practical farmers. You see why we are having problem with the envelope cost. We only think our salary is 250,000. Before the end of the month, we have already spent 350,000. So if you enter in this chain, you will never get out of poverty. That means we don't look into our source, and we are spending more than what is supposed to be coming to us, and hardly you can recover. If you didn't forget, during the Panama 3, we do the fuel. It gives discipline to some farmers. Madam, I use the equity fund. It gives discipline to some farmers. We went back and find success stories. Some people use that spirit and come out of poverty. I can recall in Bukuyu, we have one good group that used the spirit of that system, and they were able to even earn a farm for the group apart from their own. So simple it is, you have to try and calculate. Whatever you spend will not be equal to what you are thinking as income. Once you have a permanent income and you rely on it, you are finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the contribution. Thank you. Next one, record every transaction. You have to record every transaction. Wannan kusan shine matsalar mu gaskiya. Pay yourself 10 to 20% before bills. Pay yourself 10, at least 10 to 20% before paying any bill. Kai ma ka dan hita. No new debt unless ROI, that's return of investment bar, is greater than interest. An gane abin da yake nufi. Saboda financial discipline ba za ka je kawai ka ta karɓar bashi anyhow ba. Like I said earlier, you have to look for your interest. Then invest surplus systematically, monthly net worth check. Now, let's go to method. You have to apply 50-30 rule, 50-30-20 rule. or otherwise called zero-based budget. That's another tool for financial discipline. We have apps also, like YNAB, Mint, and Excel. All those ones, they are tools that you are going to use for calculation. For example, now you can use your Excel, set your goals, and now make calculations and know whether you are losing or you are gaining. Then balance sheet. Some balance sheet on primary level. Note, this 50, 30, 20% rule that we mentioned, 50% needs. You have to know your 50% needs. That's rent, like for example, rent, food, utilities, loan, EMIs, then 30% wants. There are things you need, there are things you also want. There are different things. Dining, for example, dining, travel, shopping. Food is necessary, but traveling is not necessary. Idan ka ga ba za ka yi ta nan ba, da ka samu da ka biya haya ka ci abinci shikenan, ba dole sai ka diba wasu wants ba. You can just continue living. Then 30% savings. That's investment for debt repayment. They are saying whatever you earn, at least you can be saving like 20% of your financial income. Next slide, please. Okay, we are moving to record keeping now. Definition, category, what to record, frequency, and tools. Definition: record keeping is the practice of keeping written or digital records, written or digital, to track activities on the farm or business. That's record keeping. That's the main problem of farmers now. Because most of the times, if you go to villages or you go to the farms and you start asking respondents all what they have, all what they planted, maybe pre-planting and post-harvest, for example, now, you hardly get that accurate information. You hardly get it. Because some can also tell you, okay, maybe I've inputted 3 bags of fertilizers. And in that one, they cannot differentiate which one is NPK, which one is urea. You understand? Because they don't record. So that's the main problem we have now, recording. It also refers to collecting information on the farming transaction records that the farmer usually maintains. Next slide, please. Next slide. Category. Category of what? Record keeping. There are categories where we keep our record daily. There are ones we keep weekly, monthly, seasonal, and annual. It depends. Because if I'm a farmer, if I'm a seasonal farmer, for example, maybe I'm not into irrigation, it has to be seasonal. It has to be seasonal. Then what to record? For use, maybe you are into irrigation, you have your generator where you use for irrigation, so you have to know the fuel you use and the amount. For example, I use 100 liters of fuel, so it has to be recorded. Labor hours, input purchases, like I mentioned, fertilizers, herbicides, for example, insecticides, even seeds that we planted, we need to record it. Yield summary, tax return, if you pay tax, profit loss, profit and loss. Then asset depreciation. Whatever you have, you need to record it. Even if it is loss on storage, loss on transportation, loss of insects. Wannan kwari da ka ci, kila kai buhu 10, cikin buhun nan 10 da an ka tambaye ka, out of 10, how many have you consumed, for example? You can tell that. How many have you consumed? Maybe you consume 2, you give 3, you store 4, for example, then maybe they will also ask you how many out of the 10 bags you harvested, how many bags have you lost. If it's not up to bag, if bags is 100 kg, for example, you can say, okay, I've lost 0.5 of 100 kg. If it is 1/4, you can also mention, okay, I've lost 0.25 of 100 kg bags. Next slide, please. Frequency and tools. There are records we keep end of the day, maybe every Sunday, maybe weekly, first of the day, first day of the month. We have also post-harvest record keeping. We also have pre-planting, year end, and so on and so forth. Then tools. We have Excel, Farm Notebook, PDF report, etc. Next slide. Farm Advisory Services, FAS, otherwise called Extension Services. Definition. Farm Advisory Services, also known as Agricultural Extension Services, involve providing farmers with the knowledge, information, and skills they need to improve their farms. That is Agricultural Extension Services. They connect research, technology, and farmers, helping farmers apply modern and scientific methods in practical ways. Malaman gona za su je gona suna koyar da kusan sabon abu, kusan that's based on extension services. Sabon abu da za a koya ma manomi domin ya shiga da noma. Types. We have technical advice, business and marketing advice, weather and climate advisory, soil and nutrients management, post-harvest management, or digital advisory. That's types of agricultural extension services. Providers of farm advisory services. Akwai government extension agents. Akwai NGOs and donor agencies. Then private agribusinesses companies, research institutions and universities, then digital platforms. Once I can look at, you just have your phone and browse. Next slide, please. Method used in FAS, that's Farm Advisory Services. Farm visits. This is one of the methods. You visit farm with the farmers. And demonstration. Then this is training. Training workshops and field schools. You organize workshops for the farmers. Also, it's one of the methods of farm advisory services. Radio, because some will be asked, do you have any information of improved seedlings, for example? Then, if he say yes, then you further asked, what is your source? Some will say radio, some will say newspaper, some will say, I know, from visit from government agencies or NGOs, and social media campaigns, then printed leaflets and manuals, call centers or SMS-based advice. Then there is farmer to farmer knowledge sharing. Maybe at the end of the year, we just have more yield. Maybe then we now ask, how did you do that? Maybe we'll tell him, okay, this is the yield I used. Next slide, please. Okay. Pictorial charts. Like I said, this plot, otherwise called farm, in this setting. This is the device I was telling you. Garmin handheld GPS device. This is the cursor. You can see that.
So the most important thing there is to be able to estimate that.
It's a device used for measurement. Thank you. Bookkeeping. You can see that this is digital one, but this is what I was telling focus group. One of the method of data collection, focus group. That's also Zauna. He's interviewing them on particular topic. No, this is focus group. This is farm advisory services. Malamin gona ya je yana koyar da manoma. This is focus group. This is the interviewer, and these are the respondents. Then this is one of the tools. Mun yi magana akan Excel. So you can also use Excel or any digital service for your record keeping. Next slide. Thank you for your attention.